So, let me go ahead and give the introduction. It is time for the hypocrite of the week. Okay, that went a little too long. Try not to do that one again. This week's hypocrite of the week is going to a group of faith-healing parents who let their child die from a treatable form of diabetes and decided to pray instead of getting their child treatment. And we're going to name them the hypocrite of the week. We're going to discuss why after we play this short video. But we're also going to talk about the positive side of this, if there can be a positive side to someone's death. So we'll go ahead and start that now.
Coin 6 News this week.
Oh, they hit me with another ad.
Just into the Coin 6 newsroom this
Wow.
morning.
Wait, I gotta do it next.
Jenny Hansen. Coin 6 News this morning.
All right, don't forget to mute so our audience can see the video.
Convicted of manslaughter in the death of their 12-year-old daughter were each sentenced to 10 years in prison in Lynn County. And they believe in faith healing, and their daughter died after not getting medical treatment.
Well, Tim Becker was in the courtroom for that sentencing, and he has more from Albany.
The courtroom was full of friends and family of the Rossiters. It was mostly silent as the judge read their sentences. That came moments after Wenona Rossiter's tearful statement. Wenona Rossiter broke down as she and her attorneys asked for leniency from Judge Daniel Murphy.
This has been very hard for Wenona, and the trial itself was very difficult for her, and it wasn't a surprise to me to see her emotional.
She and her husband Travis were convicted here last month of recklessly and negligently causing the death of their 12-year-old daughter Syble, who died from a diabetic condition after not receiving medical care. They're members of the Church of the Firstborn, some here today, that believe in faith healing. 3 years ago, Oregon changed its law to exclude spiritual treatment as a defense against all homicide and manslaughter charges, meaning parents like the Rossiters are now subject to mandatory sentencing under Measure 11, which Judge Murphy did impose despite the defense attorney's efforts to exclude applying the stricter sentencing.
It treats everybody the same, despite the fact that everybody is not the same, and that somebody who intentionally tortures a child is going to be treated the same as a mother who is a good mother in all respects, but because of religious beliefs hasn't provided medical care for the child.
The Rossiters had argued that they thought their daughter had the flu, which is why they didn't bring her to a doctor. But the state argued it was their responsibility to be aware of the girl's health problems.
I disagree with the judge's sentence, but I do understand that he felt constrained by Measure 11.
The Rossiters began their 10-year sentences immediately after leaving the courtroom, followed by friends and relatives who said nothing to myself or other reporters. In Albany, Tim Becker, Coin 6 News.
All right.
So, Coin 6, our mission is simple.
Guys, what do we have to
All
say
right,
about
so
this?
how much cursing are we allowed to do on the show?
As much as you'd like.
Fuck those people.
Yeah, we talked about an important point earlier in this live stream, and that is that when you believe something and you think that it is true wholeheartedly, it manifests itself into your actions. And this faith healing that they thought that was the way to go, even though it is demonstrably not working, and we've seen this in the past 5 years, all of these children dying of treatable illnesses, they're still doing it
Two died in
anyway.
my town.
Two
Two kids
died
died
in
in
your
my
town.
town.
How old were
Yeah.
they?
Like, children. Like, very young. And it's from the same church.
So yeah, so this week we're doing a different type of hypocrite of the week. Normally we take a hypocrite based on usually the biblical perspective or the Quranic perspective and show why they are a hypocrite. But this week I'm gonna name them hypocrite of the week because they failed as human beings. Faith healing is the bullshit. Okay? GE, I know you got a necessary hard on for faith healing. I've heard you talk about it before, so give it to us.
Well, I have to say that there is no symptom of diabetes, either high blood sugar or low blood sugar, that could be mistaken in any sense for the flu. I mean, that's just ridiculous to me because I have diabetes. I've had diabetes since 2006. Well, okay, I had it way before then, obviously, but that's when I was diagnosed. And generally, I mean, like, you know, when you have high blood sugar, you usually run kind of hot. Not that you have a fever, but you just feel hot. And, you know, you usually have to pee a lot. You're drinking a lot. And so, you know, it's not like anything that's flu related. I mean, sure, they might feel hot or something like that, but that can't be the
It's a lethargy could be a thing. She could have been hot and not wanting to get out of bed. That's possible.
Yeah, true. But I mean, if she was running high, like, I don't know how she died exactly, either low blood sugar or high blood sugar. Like, if she was running low on blood sugar, she definitely wouldn't be wanting to move or anything like that. If she was running high on blood sugar, she would be tired. She would want to sleep. But, I mean, is that really, like, a symptom of the flu? Like, being tired and having to pee all the time? I mean, I really don't think so. And as far as faith healing goes, I do have... I hate to play devil's advocate, but on the one hand, see, every time I see a faith healing thing, there's always two abuses that occur. Okay, there's of course the abuse of the child, and that's horrible. I mean, for them to be negligent about a child. I remember when my son was born and he had a slight fever when he was a baby. I freaked out and I wanted to go to the emergency room, but you know, I had other adults that I could contact and ask about it, and they calmed me down, and we were able to get his temperature down. But you know, I care so much about my son that if he were to get any kind of, you know, medical situation that I don't feel can be handled at home, I would be the first one out the door to rush him to the hospital. And that would include the flu, because you don't, I mean, just because it seems like the flu doesn't mean that it is the flu. So it's always good to get checked up by your doctor. Also, the other abuse that I'm talking about here is the abuse of the parents. I mean, the parents themselves have been abused. They've been abused into thinking that praying to the magical rapist in the sky will heal you of all your wounds or all of your symptoms and everything. I mean, they've been indoctrinated into that. They've been abused into that way of thinking. That does not give them any kind of leniency, though. That does not exclude them from being held responsible for their child's death. But it is important to recognize that there are two abuses that have gone on here to create the situation. There's the abuse of the parents, and then there's also the abuse of the child that they abuse themselves.
I would like actually.
Well, and I feel.
Go, Preto.
Sorry, yeah, no, I feel like this is hypocritical, and I'll tell you why. It's because, you know, most likely these parents actually believe that their daughter is now in heaven, in some state of, you know, never-ending bliss or whatever you want to call it. So for them to be upset is hypocritical, because what's terrible about that? What's so wrong about that? I mean, it's only natural, you know, to be grieving and to be upset, you know, as a human being, as a person. And obviously, as you know, us as atheists not believing in an afterlife, we can understand that. But it's hypocritical, because if you really think she's in a better place, then, you know, what are you so upset about? I mean, honestly, you know, as far as faith healing goes and all that, I really don't have any tolerance for it. It's not an excuse. They should not get any special exception for it. This kind of underscores why children themselves are not religious. You know, a parent might be of a certain religion, but a child is not of a certain religion until they get to an age where they can declare themselves and make that decision on their own. I know there was a case before in the UK where there was Jehovah's Witnesses, and they were refusing to give their young child, I mean, we're talking like 1 or 2 years old, a blood transfusion for some procedure that they needed to save his life. And they actually, you know, got involved in a legal case, and the judge pretty much ordered them to have the procedure to get the blood transfusion because the child cannot possibly choose to be a Jehovah's Witness. I'm pretty sure that if the child had the opportunity to decide, they would want to continue living rather than just go by these arbitrary rules that their parents have set for them. You know, it's just a simple fact. They've done studies that prayer is not effective in these situations. And so, you know, we can't allow these exceptions at all for quote-unquote faith healing because the science and the record shows that faith healing is directly proportional to the current state of modern medicine. And so it's not God doing anything, it's the medicine doing something.
Well, I'm in full support of giving them the 10-year sentence and possibly more because we need to make a statement to these people that if you want to do faith healing and you're a consenting adult, to me, that's fine. If you want to pray your disease away, that's fine. But you cannot do it to children, and you cannot do it to anyone else. You can't force that on someone else. And as Prototype Atheist mentioned here, it was a child, and if she was given the opportunity, she would probably want to go on living. Now, specifically, I think Church of the Firstborn believes in reincarnation. But still, at the same time, like you said, she wouldn't be weeping incoherently there if she really believed that her daughter was in a better place. So, you know, Jesus supposedly said that what you have done to the least of these, you have done to me. And if they're really a member of the Church of Latter-day Saints, then they should also be holding to Romans 13:1, which says, because I love to point this one out, let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which has been established. The authorities that exist that have been established by God. That judge that gave you 10 years, none of you should be sad, because God established that authority and he gave you 10 years and you should accept that bullshit because you did some bullshit. So for that bullshit that you did some bullshit, you're going to get some bullshit. Dieter?
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to add to this is that if somebody is in this state of mind, I understand that it's because they're indoctrinated or whatever, but at the same time, that just screams that they are unfit to be parents. Like you can't have the responsibility of keeping another person alive if you think magic will keep them alive.
No, and I totally agree. That's why I tried to clarify with, you know, it doesn't, you know, alleviate them of responsibility.
Oh yeah, I would say they fall into the same characterization of being a threat. It's like they are dangerous to themselves and others. But of course, that's not going to happen because religion gets a magical exception to everything.
Just about.
Now think about how most rational people would hold these parents accountable for their child's death. And we can also draw an analogy here how also most rational people will also, if a God does exist, hold this God accountable for all the suffering in the world. Just an interesting argument that I wanted to bring up there. So
it's like, why aren't they yelling at God for killing their daughter?
Yeah. And I want to know, like, I want to know if they're going to own up to this, or they're going to be like, okay, faith healing doesn't work, or are they going to stick by this shit? Are they going to be like, no, it was God's plan.
They won't. They won't, because this is the deal when it comes to the whole anti-vaccination crowd, or all these various things that have a weird tie to religion. It's the idea that when you give a child a vaccination or take them to a doctor, you are basically doing something physically to your child. You are giving them medicine. You are giving them an injection. You are treating them in some way. That's your responsibility now. These weak-minded people are not able to they're not able to deal with the responsibility it takes to actually raise a child. So they have to level off all that responsibility onto their magical sky fairy. So like, I'm not for eugenics, so I don't think that you can say that, like, all religious people can't have children. But if you have this mentality, your children should be taken away from you.
That sounds like communism.
Yeah, and it has to happen.
Damn it,
I
Obama.
agree.
Otherwise, more children are going to die.
Fucking Obama, that Antichrist.
It's like I'm just so like irritated by this mentality because it's just like I refuse to take responsibility for what happens to my child. Therefore, I'm a better parent than anyone else because I have Jesus on my side. It's like, no, you're delusional and are a danger to children.
Well, for letting your child die from a treatable diabetic illness for which you claimed was the flu, and then babbled incoherently in court in some hopes that this judge would take leniency on you, after you believed that you were doing the right thing in faith healing. You should have. The fact that she went back on that and cried in front of the judge makes her a hypocrite. So even just for that minute part of the story, I'm stamping you with Hypocrite of the Week. But the most important thing here is that it seems to me that we're making progress with this faith healing crowd, and hopefully people like this get starved out of the gene pool, man. It's do it. Unmute and then do it. Yes. Judicial authority.
It sounds way less dramatic than you think it does.
And you got to do it on the camera, though. You got to.
It sounds even stupider.
Hypocrite of the Week.